Welcome to Bets on the Future, where we highlight the various career paths in the electrifying metals world. From the vehicle you ride in to the bridge holding it up, metals are everywhere. Why not in your career too? I'm Jennifer Betts, a metals industry veteran with almost 20 years experience, here to highlight these incredible career paths as told by the women who are living them. On this week's episode of Bets on the Future, our guest is not only a metals recycling expert, but I'm lucky enough to call her a friend. Jessica Alexanderson is a children's author and heads up Scrap University Kids, a program designed to educate the next generation about metals recycling. She's on a mission to help elementary kids across the United States recycle 1 million aluminum cans, and she's well on her way this year. How she got into the metals industry might surprise you, especially on the recycling side. She's also a scuba enthusiast, so let's dive in with Scuba Jess on this week's episode of Bets on the Future. I do have to say, for the listeners that are listening at home, this is a little behind the scenes. My guest today, Jessica Alexanderson, and I were just talking about some of the incredible work that she's been doing and how many cans that she's been able to recycle through one of her many avenues. And I just have to say we have a really great guest today, Jessica Alexanderson. She is an author and would professional scuba diver be accurate on that front? Because I feel like you do some pretty incredible things on that front as well.
My highest rating is master scuba diver, but yeah, I like to say ocean enthusiast, citizen scientist, and just ocean lover. So yeah, just do crazy amount of scuba diving, underwater photography, just trying to raise awareness of like the good stuff I see and the bad stuff, just because so many people aren't divers and they have no idea what's going on.
And just want to say thank you for coming on. You and I have known each other for a couple years at this point, I think. And so, it's a little interesting for me to interview you because I feel like I know some of the questions, but I'm very curious to what answers are going to come up into it. So to get started, I just have to say, do you mind just giving like a little background of like who you are and kind of how we got to know each other?
For sure. And I first just want to quick say thank you so much for having me on and taking the time, and to all your listeners for listening. This is so exciting. And yeah, I just love all of the work you've been doing, Jennifer. You're just like the most amazing person. And so
Likewise.
I feel honored and lucky to be here. So my name is Jessica Alexanderson, but it's too long. So I go by Scuba Jess because nobody can spell Alexanderson. And I've been moving west my whole life. So I was born in New York, grew up in Utah in the middle of the desert where they don't recycle anything. Moved out here to Seattle, Washington back in 2008, and I started diving in 2014. And and that's the diving is kind of what sparked like this whole thing for me, like just knowing that I really wanted to help the oceans and make a change, and I had no idea how to do it really until I met Brad. But yeah, so I'll get into that in a second. But when I was in Utah, only recycling I really remember doing was collecting bullet shells, bullet casings from the firearms, or my dad was a firearms instructor for the sheriff's department. And so like as kids, we would go do shooting practice, and then he'd give us a bucket at the end and we go around, pick up all the bullets, and he'd go like cash them at the store. So that's like the only recycling memories I have. And so
hey, it's metal, it gets recycled.
It's metal, yes, all metal can be recycled. That's one of the things when I learned that, I've been trying to like spread the word. So I have a shirt here that says all metal can be recycled. If you're watching this version, Mr. Ferris Maglio, our mascot, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, what else about me? Let's see. Love scuba diving, total fish geek, love Star Trek. So every dive is like an away mission, and I'm down there with my own air supply and space floating around. There's aliens, like it's just amazing. I'm a total nerd. Love baseball, go Seattle Mariners, and can't wait for baseball season to be back. What else? That's about it. Just mostly love scuba diving, going to concerts, going to comedy shows, and then ever since I started like getting into the metal recycling industry, like I had no idea I was actually a scrap geek this whole time until my first trip to a scrap yard, and like the light bulbs went off, and I'm like, well, this is amazing. So yeah.
Well, I do have to say, in your previous career, you probably did move some scrap metal and just didn't really realize it.
I I moved a lot of metal. So I used to work for Evergreen Shipping for 15 years. So they're a Taiwanese company based out of Taipei. I started in the Salt Lake City office back in 2007 in documentations. I was typing in BLs of all the scrap metal and all of the other stuff. And then I did the traffic department, so making bookings for containers and shipping them all over the world. And then when I moved here in 2008 for the sales department, some of our biggest customers were Calbag, oh man, it's like so many scrap metal shippers, Metro Metal, Sutter, like all those guys. But our number one exports out of the US are paper scrap, metal scrap, plastic scrap, and then all the raw commodities. So we did a lot of hay out of the Pacific Northwest, onions, apples, cherries, frozen fish, lots of French fries. Don't even get me started on Christmas trees. Yeah, so, but I felt like I was shipping all these containers of metal and I had like really no idea what was in the containers until I met Brad. And he was one of my customers at Evergreen. That's how I met him. He shipped used car batteries to be recycled in Korea and all over Southeast Asia and other metal items to be recycled. And he was always my nicest customer. Never yelled at me, which is so rare in shipping because people are always freaking out because the ship is late, ship is early, you're out of containers, the trucker got a flat tire, like stuff that's out of my control. But I'm like a problem solver. People would call me every day with some sort of insane problem and be like, Jess, I need your help. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do. And yeah, and so it's very stressful shipping. Like just I was getting an ulcer, and then when COVID happened, the whole entire world broke, shipping chain just disaster. And so I go scuba diving in my free time to de-stress after work and just forget about all that madness. Um and then that's when I started like doing underwater photography and focusing on the good stuff. But then I just see all this trash in the ocean. So I started doing a lot of cleanup dives to get all as much out as we can. And whenever I do cleanup dives, I always usually do it by the boat ramp, which is right by an aquarium. And so there's usually kids around. So we always like to put a big tarp out and lay out all of our ocean treasures and take pictures of it. And so one of those days I took a picture of it. And when I was talking to Brad the next day, he's like, oh, what did you do this weekend? So I showed him a picture and I'm like, I got all this stuff out of the ocean. And he's like, oh, that's cool. You know, all that metal can be recycled, right? And I'm like, I know you can recycle the bottles and cans. Like, I don't think anybody wants a rusty old chain or crab pot or fish hooks. And well, all the
False.
balls.
We do.
Yes.
We definitely do.
Yeah, I know that now, but back then I was like, crap. And I feel so bad for all the metal I threw away in the garbage like my whole life because I did not know about scrap yards. And like people in Utah and most places just actually go to the landfill and pay to dump all that stuff when they could actually
Yes.
go down the street and make money from it. And so I'm
Yes.
like, if I didn't know this, a lot of other people probably don't know this either.
Oh, absolutely. I find it fascinating that people don't really realize how much metal goes to landfills that could have been recycled. The upside is that there are companies that are out there. There are more and more companies out there that are starting to go back and mine
Yeah, that's
landfills
good. Yeah.
essentially to get out some of the metal that we've already produced so that we don't have to mine additional metal from the earth, which is a lot more carbon intensive, energy intensive, etc. So for those listening at home, Brad Rudover is the Brad that she is referencing. Brad and I know each other because he used to be a customer of mine when I was living in Seattle, where Jess lives in that area today. And so it's just kind of this weird, you know, small community, but yet it's such a large industry. And yet Jess and I had no idea that we lived in the same city for a while. And so Brad is one of the individuals that recommended we get introduced. And it's a really cool world to see that your love of the ocean and of recycling things, you're translating that into your work now. Like this is what you do now, which is a very fascinating pivot. And it's awesome to see that people can really take what they're passionate about and turn it into, a livelihood, right? And it's benefiting a lot of people.
It's pretty crazy. And I just say go for it. Like I did not know what my passion was until I started scuba diving. Like I always thought something was missing. And I knew like I love going to concerts and comedy shows and I love Star Trek, but like I'm like, what is that thing? Like I know there's a thing I'm missing. And as soon as that first dive breathing underwater, and I was like, this is it. And then when I saw like my first crab go by and my first fish, like I was instantly hooked. And I'm like, this is what I've been missing my whole life. And and then working at Evergreen for 15 years. It was like a really great company and amazing, but I just kind of knew like if I don't leave now, I'm gonna either be stuck, like you're either a lifer, like you're stuck there forever and you're gonna retire there, or like it's so scary to think about making a change. But I
Yeah.
knew that like the oceans need my help. And like if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. And I don't want to go back to school to be like a marine biologist or figure out some other degree. Like I just want to like figure out what to do. And I didn't know like what that job even was until I called Brad Rudover one day of Detroit Scrap and Scrap University. And I called him one day and I was like, hey, Brad, are you hiring? And he's like, sure. He's like, I hire you in a second to run my shipping department, but is that what you want to do? And I'm like, no, I did that for 15 years. Like, I am done with shipping. Like, I don't even want to see another container ever again. Um, and he's like, okay, well, what would your dream job even be? Which is such a hard question to answer. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. People just think about that. Like, what if you could be doing anything right now? Like, what would it be? Like, for me, for some reason, it was like such a hard thing. Like, I knew I wanted to help the oceans, but I'm like, what is that job? And I'm like, well, I know it has to start with kids
Yeah.
because when I was a kid, I didn't learn about that you could recycle this metal. And I'm like, okay, well, it has to start with kids. They could learn young that it'll make an impact. They'll remember, like Smokey the Bear. Like, I still have my Dare shirt from when I was a kid. I was a Dare child. Like, if you get
Yep.
something in school, like you remember that forever if you have a cool presentation. And so I'm like, okay, Brad, I know it has to do something with kids. I want to help the planet. I don't even know what it is. And he's like, oh, that's interesting that you said that because he has two really highly adorable daughters, Ellie and Lexi. They were 6 and 3 at the time of this phone call. Yes, so this is Ellie, Brad's daughters. She's
Yes.
6. If you can see in the picture, she's a little adorable blonde girl who's wearing a Pearl Jam shirt, riding a unicorn, saving the world one can at a time. But
Yes.
so
And for those that are listening, Jess is holding up one of the books that she's written. This one is titled The Girl Who Recycled 1 Million Cans, which you can find online,
yeah.
multiple bookstores, etc. It's
Go to
fantastic.
our website, kids.scrapuniversity.com or bookbaby.com. Our books are printed in the US in New Jersey. So we want to find a local printer. But yeah, when I had that call with Brad, he had this story idea written on paper with his best friend's wife, Shazia, who's an elementary school teacher up in Canada. And so the two of them kind of like wrote this story together based off of Brad's daughters. If you ask his kids, how do you make money? Even when they're like 2 or 3 years old, they'll say cans. Like they already know, like you can
I love
cash
it.
them. And they're so cute. And so he's like, okay, Jess, I'm going to hire you and you're going to run our kids division of Scrap University because Scrap University is like this most amazing class that anybody in the metal recycling industry should take. Jennifer's one of the instructors. She's fantastic. And yeah, it's a really cool online class. You can take it at your own pace. You can log in whenever you have access to the internet, go in, do a couple modules, learn about a couple different metals. And so when we initially were starting, we're like, oh, we should make a little class for kids version. And then
Mhm.
we decided like we could still do that, but we want to focus on the books first because we think little kids actually love books and
Oh,
uh
yes.
yeah, like they
Yep.
like learn it more. And like Brad was reading his kids bedtime stories and they're all just like fluff and like they're not learning anything. And he's like, I want them to have a bedtime story that's actually fun and cute that they enjoy, but they're actually also like secretly learning information. And so, yeah, so our first book, The Girl Who Recycled 1 Million Cans, came out last year in September of 2022, actually on Star Trek Day, September 8th.
Love that. It
So that was
wasn't accidentally placed there, was that? Was that something
I
a
can't
little?
imagine who picked that date. And then this year, when our new second book just came out, Recycling Adventure to the Scrapyard, I really wanted it to also be on September 8th, but we were a little delayed on some of the files, so it's like a week after, but still September, so that's kind of
Yes.
cool. Um,
I have to say from somebody that's like outside looking in, I think what you've been able to do in the past really year has been quite incredible. You've had some pretty large companies partner up with you on this, from recycling companies to equipment companies, metal manufacturers. It's been pretty awesome to see what you've been able to do. And I want to get into the can contest in a little bit, but like I mean, if you're open to sharing like some of those large companies that you've been able to work with, like by all means, feel free to
I
share.
oh man, I loved it. Like we've been having just the most amazing support from like the metal recycling industry, and then like yeah, the companies actually make the cans and the aluminum, and like Senebogen. I don't know you guys if you're watching this, but Senebogen is this amazing company from Germany. But I've got to meet them at the ISRI convention where I met you last year in
Yes.
Nashville, and we're like. I gave him a copy of the first book and I'm like, hey, would you guys be interested in being in our second book? Like, we'd love to put you right on the front cover. And they're like, that sounds amazing. So yeah, they've been super supportive. Like Brad's like one day he calls me up. He's like, Jess, can you ask Senebogen if they want to like be involved in our book? And I'm like, okay. So Brad always has like really crazy ideas, and he's like, just do this. Get Pearl Jam. I'm like, okay. And so like the first book, Ellie's wearing a Pearl Jam shirt because I like reached out to Pearl Jam and I totally thought I was going to go to a black hole somewhere. And they actually replied because we're like helping teach kids about saving the planet and they're very into that too. And then some of our other huge supporters have been like, oh man, one of the coolest days of my life was my friend Todd Ashton worked at Novellus, which is like the largest can, like aluminum can maker. And I sent him a copy of our book and I was like, hey, do you think Novellus would like be interested in this? Because they want their cans back because it's 95% less energy to make a can out of recycled aluminum than the whole mining process is so much better for the planet. And we only recycle 45% cans, which is crazy. So he was like, yeah, send a book. This is awesome. So then one day he sends me this picture of Fred, a 10-foot robot made out of recycled aluminum. That's like this big, huge robot statue in the Novellus plant in, I think it was in Georgia. And Fred is reading our book. And it's like, yeah, it took me a while to like prop this book up there without like falling off. And like, I'll have to show you the picture, but it was like, when he sent me that picture, that was like one of the coolest things of my entire life. Like, I can't even believe that like we somehow got this book into reality. And now like Novellus has it with this huge robot and like, yeah, so they've been amazing. I'm working with the Can Manufacturers Institute, which represents like the largest aluminum can makers, like sheet rollers and can producers. So like Crown, Constellium, Tri-Arrows, Kaiser Aluminum, Novellus, Logan Aluminum, and Basie's down in Texas. So like all these huge companies, and they all love our books and they want to help teach kids about recycling. And so like they've all just been super supportive. Oh, Chupan is amazing.
Yes.
Gotta do you should call out Chupan. They're fantastic. So yeah, just these huge companies that like, I don't know, like I look at their website one day and then the next day like somehow like I get a magical message from them like on LinkedIn and like, hey, do you want to have a chat? I'm like, yes, I do. Like I
I
don't know how this is happening, but it's like super cool. So
It's really cool to see what you've been doing. You and Brad have that mindset of just like, well, somebody has to tell me no, right? Like I have to be able to ask,
yeah.
and if nobody asks, then like we'll never know. And so the fact that you and Brad just go out there and are like, yeah, I'm gonna ask Pearl Jam to see if they would allow, their logo on there, would they want to get involved? I mean, that's incredible. Not a lot of people would take that initiative, and I think it's just really cool to see what you've been doing. I know you and I can see each other right now as we're recording this, and yes, there will be a video edition of this podcast, but I do have to say, for those that do not know Jess, you absolutely need to find her on social media because she posts some really wonderful photos of the ocean, of what she's doing, but also she gets sent these photos and these videos of where her book ends up. And I mean, it's been in politicians' hands. It's been in like, just such a wide-ranging group of people. It's been really cool to see like across the aisles. Like it's like this book can really just bring people together because it's not really, I would say, preaching like anything. It's just educating in a really fun way the next generation of metal can be recycled and it also can be profitable as well. Like there is an exchange there.
It's a fun way. Like little kids have like lemonade stands. Like they want to make money. They want to save money for their, their piggy bank or their candy fund, whatever they're doing these days.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just fun teaching kids. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I just need to interrupt my own self and just talk about Jenny at Trivium Packaging real fast because she is the most amazing lady that I've met through social. Like she saw one of my posts on LinkedIn and reached out, and she's in Rotterdam and she's a huge Trekkie also. And yeah, that was like probably the other most amazing day of my life. She sent me a photo of John Kerry holding my book, and I'm like, what? She got a selfie with John Kerry at the COP, like the climate summit in Dubai a couple of months ago. She went to that and she's the head of sustainability at Trivium. She's just the most amazing lady. And she actually came out to Seattle for a month with her 4 adorable kids, her family, her husband. I got to meet them all and show them around Seattle. And it was during the All-Star game that we had
Mhm.
here in Seattle. So I
Yep.
actually got to like go be part of the green team and go collect everybody's cans between innings, which was so fun. And so yeah, so Trivium has been a huge supporter. We actually put Trivium in our second book. There was like a little can that has Trivium logo in there, but they make I think they make like 1 million cans a day in their factory, aluminum cans and with reusable with lids, and steel cans like soup cans and everything. So we have like a little ferrous versus non-ferrous page in our second book, and they got a little tritium can. But yeah, we want to teach kids like, hey, all of these metal items in your house that you're surrounded by, you're actually surrounded by metal at all times. You might not know it, but once you read our book, you're going to start looking around, seeing all the metal things, and then realize that all of that metal could be recycled for forever. And
Yes.
like, if you recycle your Christmas lights, they could be your next iPod charger. Like, like it's just going to keep going forever and ever. And so,
I love that this book is geared towards, like, I'd say what, like first to third graders, like the elementary school range. I
elementary.
didn't know what the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous was until I graduated college, right? Like when I was in my first job trading scrap metal, right?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I didn't really like, I mean, I knew like I was typing on BLs and stuff, but I didn't really like think about what it was. But yeah, if it's ferrous, it will stick to a magnet. So we have little magnets that we give out to kids, and it says, let's stick together and recycle, and all metal can be recycled. And yeah, if it's non-ferrous, it doesn't stick to a magnet and it's worth more money, which is a little harder for recycling because it doesn't stick to a magnet. So more like ferrous actually gets recycled because they could just put a magnet, it gets sucked out.
Yep.
But the ferrous is worth more money. It's paid for by the pound usually. So if you save your Christmas lights, your wires, your USB chargers, your headphones, you can go cash those in. If you want to make a big, huge tinfoil ball, save all your Hershey Kiss wrappers, your yogurt lids, all that metal, rinse it off, turn it into a huge ball, see how big you can get it. You can cash that in. Like, we're just teaching kids, like, don't throw any metal in the garbage. And it's very confusing for people because when you look at your blue recycle bin, if you even have one, on the top of it will say like all these things that you can't put in there, like your wire hangers or your tinfoil or your Christmas lights. And so people are like, oh, I can't put that in my recycle bin, right? And then they just throw it right into the trash. And so that's like
Right.
a huge problem that we're trying to solve. And we can solve this problem.
It is. And part of the reason why there is, those issues of, on the cans that say, you can't recycle this, you can't recycle that. It's not because it cannot be recycled. It can be, but it's because the equipment, the local municipality, the company that's able to pick up your blue bin at the end of the driveway, if you will, they just don't have the processing equipment. Your local metal recycling facility has that ability. So you do have to go a little bit out of your way to get that done. But again, like what you're talking about, like see how big you can get the ball to go. If you can't put that in your blue bin, then just like, create your own mini scrapyard.
Yes, yes.
And until you've got time to take it there.
Yeah.
I do want to I have to give you a shout out for what you're doing right now, because this is the inaugural year of the contest that you've been doing, multi-state contest, mind you. So I just want to give you a chance to explain what's going on there, because I keep going to your website and I keep seeing the tickers and like they keep going up and up and up. And so I think what you're doing is fantastic. So I want to give you a chance to explain what you're doing with a variety of schools across the country.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, so I do want to say one small thing. I thought we were over 250,000 cans the other day, but we had a small miscalculation because somebody turned in some 590 pounds of aluminum wheels, which is awesome. But that weight got counted towards cans. So we had to kind of back it out, but the school's still going to get the money. So anyways,
Yes.
we're at 249,445 cans since mid-October. I have 8 elementary schools across the country, mostly in states with pretty sad recycling rates. And these adorable little elementary school kids are collecting aluminum cans. We've teamed up. What we do is we team up elementary schools and their local scrap yards. A scrapyard brings a big, huge bin, puts it in the school parking lot. The kids bring cans from home in a garbage bag, and they fill up the bin. And then at the end, whenever the bin is full, the scrapyard takes it away, weighs it, gives me the totals. I update my website. At the end of the year, they're going to get a big fat check for all the money for all the cans they recycle. And then we have prizes. So working with Can Manufacturers Institute, they're so fantastic. They donated the money. So first place gets 3,000, second place is 1,000, third place is 500. And then all of the students at those schools, all of the third graders got a free copy of our book, The Girl Who Recycled 1 Million Cans.
Oh, that's
And so
awesome.
isn't that so nice of them? So they donate those books to the third graders, and the third graders went around and read to all the other classes in the school. So everybody at the school actually got to hear the story. Hopefully, like we can get more funding, and like my dream would be like every kid at the school gets their own book to take home, because then they can read it with their families, show their friends and neighbors, their grandparents, and then everybody will be excited and start saving more cans for these students, because it's a win-win. Like the school's getting money, you're helping the kids feel so happy because they're helping the planet, and little kids want to make a difference. And I feel like if you just give them the education, make it fun, easy, make it a game, have easy access to recycling right there at their school, like these kids are going to solve this recycling problem. We only recycle 45% of cans in this country, and most of that is from the 10 states with a deposit. And so, like, there's so much room for improvement, but like, this is a problem we can solve. Like, this is solvable. Like, we can't solve some of these other huge problems right now, which I wish we could, but like, let's just knock this one off and then go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have my schools here. I let me just give them a little shout out. First place, so the actual ranking system for the contest to make it fair, because some schools only have like 20 students and some schools have like 300 students
Yeah.
for third grade. We wanted to do cans per student that got the free book, so that's kind of our metric. So currently, Yankeetown Elementary in Indiana is in first place. They have 46 third graders, and they have recycled 40,000 600 cans, so that's 883 cans per student.
Wait, now I have to hold on. That seems like a lot. And I know that there are others that are
Oh
like
yeah,
larger.
they're even, yeah.
When did you start this year? Like,
So mid-October. We wanted to start October 1st, but there's some sort of delays with getting all those 8 schools and all the scrapyards to agree on a date, and then schools always have like crazy holidays and stuff. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
not too long.
not, I mean, and spoiler alert for when this podcast comes out, but that's basically only like 3 months that there's been 40,000 cans
Just for one
collected.
school. Yeah.
Yes, from one
Yeah.
school.
So for since mid-October, we're at 200, we're basically at 250,000 cans since mid-October. Isn't that insane? Like we're a fourth of the way there. Our goal is to get to 1 million by May. So I'm like, if we can keep this up, we can get more like advertising, more media coverage. Like I feel like all the news should be covering this story. Like this should be on the Today Show, Good Morning America. Like this is a story that actually matters. Little kids are recycling and they're having fun and they're learning. And these little kids all took the can pledge. We have them take a little pledge. They stand up, take a put their hand in the air. I pledge never throw a can in the trash the rest of my life. And then they throw their can in the recycle bin and they get a sticker. We have stickers that say recycling is like magic. We have stickers that say, I took the pledge, did you? They could put these on a reusable water bottle. And so then when people are like, what's the pledge? Little adorable kids are going to teach everybody that they should never throw their can in the garbage. And yeah, Texas has just been going bonkers. They're amazing. They're at 55,000 cans and they have the smallest bin. They have like a just one tiny little Gaylord box like in the inside of their school. So we're trying to get them a bigger bin. But
Yeah.
it's just every week it's like overflowing. They're so cute. Mississippi has knocked it out of the ballpark. They are at 72,100 cans just for their school. And
What?
so like just like my top schools are like Mississippi, Texas, Kentucky, Indiana. Like these are states that are not known for recycling. And this is not like a political thing. Like this is, you're
Yeah.
helping your kids, you're helping your local school, you're helping our planet. Like it's just so fun. And I'm so proud of all these students. I can't even handle it. And
It's really impressive. If you want to find out what your recycling rate is for your state, you can go to the Ball Corp website. They've got a really great resource on there. They do independent research studies of the recycling rates for beverage containers, and they do it by state, and it's very interesting. And you're spot on. Those states that you have these recycling fundraising programs in are usually on the lower end of recycling rates. So it's incredible to see that these kids are excited about this, bringing it in. I'm excited to see at the end of the year how much money overall you're going to be raised, because you mentioned additional thousands of dollars that are going to be donated to these schools. That's on top of what these kids are already going to get back from the scrapyards.
yeah, the scrapyard is going to pay them for all the aluminum, plus families can bring other items like their aluminum wheels or their Christmas lights, any metal item. If you're going to go to the scrapyard and bring cans and add it to the school's account, you can donate to that scrapyard any other metal items, but that weight won't get added to the total. I'm going to do better, but the school will still get the money. But we just want to teach people like, hey, your washer and dryer just died, don't throw that in the garbage. You can cash that in, and if you want to help your local school, you can, or you can just keep the money yourself, whatever, it's all good. And yeah, next year we would love to expand to even more states and more schools. These schools we specifically wanted to pick because they're mostly in areas that don't have access to curbside recycling. So like these states just, or these areas, they're just throwing their cans in the garbage. The school in Indiana had a bar and restaurant down the street from their school. And so one of the teachers called them, he's like, hey, what do you guys do with your cans? They're like, throw them in the garbage. And they're like, would you consider saving those for our school? And they're like, yeah, sure. So like, we got a bar in Indiana to start recycling. The
That's
school in
awesome.
Texas reached out to like the bowling alley, the skating rink. They're saving cans. The local news, they got a reporter to come interview them at their school. So now the whole newsroom in Waco, Texas, is saving their cans. Like, it's just pretty amazing, like how this is just the beginning, and like the fire is growing, and like it's just getting bigger. It's like a good, happy fire. Yeah, I can't even. I'm like so excited. Every day I just keep seeing the most adorable pictures of these little kids recycling, and like my heart explodes. Yeah.
You do a really wonderful job of spreading the message, the education of it. And again, find Jess online on Instagram. You're on LinkedIn, Facebook, I believe, correct?
Yes, Scuba Jess on Facebook, Instagram, and then Scrap U Kids, short for Scrap University Kids. Oh, I know I've been talking a lot. I call out real fast some of our amazing scrapyard partners too.
Yes.
FA Recycling, fantastic. Alter Trading. I have, oh my gosh, I have so many sod metals in Pennsylvania. The green
Yes.
guys, they're so great. Cumberland Trading, Parish Recycling. Oh, Iskowitz Metal, Iskowitz and Nesbitt. They're working, they're actually in Memphis, Tennessee, but they're helping our school in Mississippi because it's like a half-hour drive. And so they're not even in the state of Mississippi, but they're collecting cans from Mississippi, which is super cool. Just the most amazing scrapyards. And when I call them up and I say, hey, we're teaching the next generation to not throw metal in the garbage, like the scrapyard's like 100% yes, what can we do to help? And so like, thank you, everybody. Oh, CMC Recycling in Texas, they're amazing. So yeah, just gotta love all the scrapyards. They're fantastic. And it's just a fun way to get their word out into their local community about like what they actually do, and like free advertising, and like it's all good. So hopefully more scrapyards want to jump on board next year and get this in more states.
From the marketing side of things with recycled media, I think you are doing such an incredible job on helping these businesses connect with their communities too. Because think about the metal recycling companies. How often are they really, connecting with the next generation, with the elementary schools, with the middle schools, like with the parents that are in that area? I think it's just a really wonderful way to grow your business, to help educate the next generation, and then also give back to your community. I mean, it's all around a really wonderful win-win situation for everyone involved.
Yeah, thank you so much for helping me get the word out about this. And yeah, if any scrapyards would like to buy our books and donate to their local schools or the local library, or give them to the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whoever, like all these kids need the books. We're self-published. We're just doing this, just the three of us doing this here. Well, mostly me, but yeah, we need help, and we need these big companies to just support the little guys and just get these books out to all these kids, because if these kids learn it from a young age, never throw their metal in the garbage, like you're going to have lifelong customers. And then they're also going to learn about really cool jobs in the recycling industry that they would have never known about. And like, I love and encourage the scrapyard members to go to their local school and read our books to the kids, bring a hard hat, bring a safety vest, bring magnets, and just show a little clip of like what you actually do at your scrapyard, show them the baler, show them the car shredder, show them all that stuff. Like little kids are going to freak out, and then they're going to realize that like there's all these job opportunities that they would have never even known about. Oh, I also like when we do these contests, list like any metal items you want, anything you don't want, so people aren't showing up random stuff that you can't recycle. Like some people don't want propane tanks, whatever, or
Yeah.
microwaves. Why? But put that on there, and then also any job openings you have at your scrapyard or in your industry, throw those on there, or throw your website on there, and just say, hey, like all of the parents at the school are going to get this free advertisement, and some of these parents might be looking for a job, and like it's a good way to just get the word out. So, yeah. Also one last breaking news.
Yes.
We just are signing up for ISRI for Scrap University Kids, so that's exciting too. Just shout out to ISRI because they're amazing too. So
The Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, for those that might be in a different sector of the metals industry and may not be so much on the raw material side as well.
Yeah. And then, oh yeah, thank you for that. And then also just another call out to our company, what we are, a little bit about our future plans. I've been talking a lot and I didn't even get to ask you questions, but we do want to do 4 books total to show the full circle of metal recycling. So the 3rd book will be the melting process. So we're going to show like all that metal getting melted down, turned into rebar and ingots and sheets and all of that, and just show how cool it is. We are hopefully going to be working with Nucor Steel for book 3, which would be super cool. You would be excited about that. And then the 4th book, we want to show the manufacturing process. So like those old Christmas lights are this, Daddy's old truck that they shredded in book 2 is now a new truck or a washer and dryer. The old cans are new cans, or an airplane or an iPad. We just want to show the kids like all of these possibilities, that if you don't throw your metal in the garbage, it has new life for forever. And yeah, so we want to do those 4 books, and then we're also going to be starting a cartoon series called Heavy Metal Elementary, where our kids are little metal recycling superheroes that have powers based on their favorite metals. And they're going to go travel around the country and feature different scrapyards in each episode and different kind of metal and how to recycle it in each episode. And then also obviously feature really cool music and bands because we're very into music here, and like cool landmarks. So like we want little kids to just be learning so much really cool knowledge in a short mini bite-sized package and just go teach their parents all this stuff that we never learned as kids.
Nope, I didn't. I have a finance degree and I learned all this when I was in my 20s. So it would have been a little more helpful when I was a little younger. So I really do appreciate everything that you're doing. I know we're running out of time. Is there anything else that you would want to share about what you're working on, or any advice for like the next generation? Just anything that you're, last few
Um,
words.
yeah, last words. Just keep an eye out on our website, kids.scrapuniversity.com, for any updates. Hopefully we'll have announcements on like when the cartoon's coming out or our future books. And yeah, just if you ever have any questions or interested, just hit me up. I'm always open. I love to jump on calls. I'm a big talker, so love to chat you up. And yeah, no, and just keep up the great work out there. And oh, if you do get our book, if you could do hashtag scrap you kids. I would love to have people take the can pledge. Like I would love people to just buy the book, take the pledge, like film yourself and nominate like a friend or a cousin or an aunt and uncle to take the pledge, and like let's just keep this going. And yeah, let's solve this can recycling crisis. Like little kids are going to do it. 45%, we could do better. Let's get to 100%. Let's not wait 50 years. Like let's just do it like in 5. Why not?
You're
Yeah.
really gonna be making a big impact in the next generation, and I'm looking forward to my local PTSA meeting soon to also spread the word. If you are interested in learning more, please visit Jess out on her website, her Instagram, her LinkedIn. Find her. It's really wonderful, and especially you want to follow along to see when they hit the 1 million cans this school year. So it's going to be very exciting. Please follow along. And also, you've got Earth Day coming up as well. So this is another great opportunity to get involved, help the next generation understand that metals are tied to the environment and everything in between with the economy. So it's a really all around great lesson. So Jess, thank you so much for coming on. I really
Thank
appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully in Vegas and
yeah,
a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
see you in Vegas, and yeah, hopefully we can do a follow-up episode in a while, and once we get to 1 million cans or something. And next time I'll actually get to ask you questions because I was talking too much.
On the
But
follow-up, on
thank
the
you
next
so much,
one.
and thank you to all your listeners for listening. And have a great day, and live long and prosper. I would like to end with that.